What's good, guys? Fellow X-Men fans, we are back, and back again as promised. I'm gonna keep this train running, recapping and giving my thoughts on the episodes of X-Men 97. Before we get started, I've heard rumors, and I don't know how true they are because of where the sources I've heard them from, but I've heard rumors. I have heard rumors that Marvel is thinking about reviving a couple more of their classic Marvel shows. And if that is true, then you bring on Spider-Man 98 and anything else that maybe I'll do a list. But if it's true, bring it on. I'm ready. But this is the fourth episode, and this was the fourth episode. It was broken into two halves, which was interesting. This is the first time it was done. The first one was called Motendo, and the first part of Lifedeath. So yeah, the first part of it was pretty much focused on Jubilee and Sunspot, Roberto, in a sense. A lot of Easter eggs in this. And like there was an example of Jubilee is turning 18, which again I go back to the original run, and I'm like, wasn't she older at the end of that series? Once again, if you go back and watch the original series, the finale, she was rocking her Generation X look, insinuating that she was older already. Here they're saying Jubilee is just turning 18. She wants to do this. She wants to go to the arcade, and Magneto's almost like disgusted by what she said. She's a kid. I'm a gamer, so I understood what she was coming. I miss arcades. Okay, I do. But the episode was fun. It was a lot of that. This first part was fun. It's centered around Jubilee, and we got Mojo back. That was cool to see Mojo. I've always said I would love to see Mojo live action, but I can guarantee you he would probably scare kids to death. And he kind of scared me in this because they showed him skinny, and I was like, nah, that don't work. Get fat again. To me, I was like, get fat. I was like, no, put back on the weight. And I love that they brought it up too, like Jubilee, like, you're skinny now, like. But it was pretty funny, and Mojo put her in this game that looked like a Sega Genesis, and even the cartridge looked like the classic X-Men game from the Genesis or the Mega Drive, whichever one, wherever you were. So it was really funny. I did enjoy that. And then we saw them inside games, and it was almost like a combination of Marvel vs. Capcom, but also the classic X-Men game that Konami did, that was kind of based off of the original X-Men series in 1989. Yeah, so it was really fun, and Jubilee's having a fun time, but there's also Mojo being who he is. He's gonna do what he does. But then we see there is someone's helping Roberto and Jubilee, and when we finally do get to see it, we see who it is. It is an older version of Jubilee who has been in this game for some time, and she's doing all kinds of things with her powers that Jubilee's like, whoa, I could do that? Like, when do I do? I thought that was cool. Like, she was seeing what her powers, like, because there was a point where she was skating on her, like using her powers to skate, and like she was throwing, like, almost looked like Destructo Disc and things like that. It was really cool. I enjoyed that. But it was a fun episode, and I had no issue with that. That was that part. By the second half, which is titled Life or Death, which is based off of the Uncanny part, Uncanny X-Men, where Storm, Depower Storm, and the story of Forge, and it's almost to the point, and this is where Forge and Storm fall for each other. They gain a relationship. Now, yes, again, they are taking, of course, they're taking a story that is well known to most X-Men fans, and they are taking and they're congesting it. And I understand that's still been a problem for some fans to understand. They're congesting some of these hard-hitting stories that are from the 80s. Basically, Claremont's run. And I understand that. I get it. And in this we see, Storm and Forge eating and talking and learning more about each other. And, he's explaining how his powers work, which I'm glad to see that they did, because even in the original series, they never really went deep into Forge powers. Forge is basically like a technopathic. He has technopathic powers. Like, he could see it up here, and then it's just, as long as he sees it up here, he can make it. But we see more, like, Forge, we see like all of Forge's, what he's been doing, and we see we see the old pictures of X Factor, which I was glad to see. I was like, you saw all of them. You saw Havoc, saw Polaris, Multiple Man, Wolfsbane, Strong Guy, Quicksilver, and him. Then there were more people to the left. Then we saw Dr. Adler, and what looks like there was a picture, and it was him smiling with Dr. Adler. But the other guy, it looked like Magneto. I was like, wait, is that Magneto? If you don't catch, you gotta catch it because it's there. Go back and watch it. There's a photo that you see with Dr. Adler, the character that Mystique played, dressed up as during Muir Island, and Forge and things like that. However, Forge is trying to help Storm become who she is again, and talks about you're a goddess, all this stuff, and when Storm finds out that Forge is the one who, is responsible for the collars and things like that, she's mortified. She's like, how could you do this? And, Forge explains himself in a way that, it doesn't excuse his actions, because at the same time, it's like you're collaring your own kind. You understand where I'm coming from? And she's just really upset about that. Like, what the hell? Like, but then Forge already professes his love for her, and I'm just like, that I was a little bit like, that's a little too fast. That's where I can understand. I'm like, that's a little too fast. You just met her. Like, not even, I don't know how long but it was just like, come on, like, little bit. But outside of that, it was fine. And by the end of the episode, it ended with this creature, this owl-like creature that Storm had seen. Like, she noticed there was an owl that just kept flying around, and this creature called the Adversary. Dun dun dun. And that's how it ended. But there is a part 2. But yeah, outside of that, this episode was fun. It was fun to give a spotlight to Jubilee, and the relationship between her and Sunspot is really getting up there too. But throughout that episode, there was even like a kind of like a wink at Days of Futures Past. There were a couple of Easter eggs. There was like a lot of Easter eggs in these episodes, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm looking forward to the next. I mean, this is 4 episodes down. I think there's 6 more episodes to go. So yeah, I'm having a blast watching these. It's just good stuff. It really is. It just brings you. It takes you back. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. I'm looking forward to seeing part 2. I don't know if part 2 is coming out. Lifedeath part 2. I don't know if it's coming out next week. But I think but there is a part 2. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and how quickly will they, give Storm back her powers. Once again, like I said, they are adapting stories, but they're condensing it, because the first thing that this series has completely didn't follow the source material. Storm never left the X-Men after she lost her powers. She stayed on and even freaking led them. She led the team. She was a damn good leader too. But outside of that, yeah, But it was fun. It was a fun episode. But you guys tell me, what did you think about this episode, episode 4, Motendo, Lifedeath, part 1. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next week with another thought video for X-Men 97. Outside of that, guys, you guys